welcome back. My name is Gina. I'm so glad that you've joined me over here in my little corner of YouTube where I share with you all about my knitting adventures. So Renee over at, let's see, I'm gonna get it right here, Adventurer Knits, aka Renee's Knitting Journey, was kind enough to mention me in a video that she did recently about several smaller YouTube channels that she was really enjoying, and because of that I have gotten an influx of newer viewers. So that was so wonderful of Renee to recognize my channel in that way. If you have not checked out her channel, I would definitely recommend it. She is a newer knitter, like she just started knitting in the last 2 years, and she has already, like, she's incredibly adventurous. She tries all sorts of projects. She is not one of those beginner knitters who just knits disc cloths for the first, months or years. She just dove right in head first and is making all sorts of garments. So I highly recommend that you go over and check out her channel. That's exactly the kind of knitting podcast that I really enjoy. Somebody who is stretching themselves and learning new skills. And also she knits in lots of different colors, so it's not just, beige neutrals all the time. Yeah, so that's really fun. Yeah, so because there are some newer viewers here, I thought I would maybe do just a little bit of a reintroduction. So of course, like I said earlier, my name is Gina. I am not a newer knitter. I have been knitting for 10.5 years at this point. November is my 11-year anniversary, and let's see, I had tried knitting several times during my life, and it had never really clicked for me. But I was in the 20-teens, I was on a mommy board, and there were a lot of women on there who knit, and they could just knit amazing things, and I was so jealous. And so at some point, I was like, I really want to learn to knit, but like I have not been able to do it. And someone on there kindly offered to be my guide, to hold my hand. And so she helped me pick out a pattern and pick out yarn, and then via private message answered all of my annoying questions about, like, oh my goodness, what does it mean when the directions say this? Basically, she was my private knitting tutor, and with her help, I knit my first project, which was a wonderful wallaby for my toddler at that time. So I'll put a picture of it up here. The project was very cute. My kid was very cute. And yeah, that got me started. So once I had done one project, I was off and running, and I made several more wonderful wallabies that year and the next year. For a while there, I made one a year of those for each of my boys until they kind of grew out of mommy's knitting. Yeah, after I got my confidence knitting for them, then I moved on to adult garments and have never looked back. So that was sort of my knitting origin story. I love color in general, and I love color work. That's probably my favorite thing to do. It's funny, like I'm looking here in this picture and there's no color work, but there is going to be some color work in this episode. It is my greatest love, but I like doing all sorts of different things. I just love the variety of looks that you can get with different knitting techniques. So that's one of the things that I think has really kept me interested in knitting, is that there's just always more to learn. I have sort of switched hobbies a lot over the years. I would get really into a thing and do it, hot and heavy for a couple of years and then sort of move on. And knitting has stuck the longest of anything. And I think that is, like I said, partly because there is just so much to learn. When you master one technique, there's still so much more to do. So I love to learn. We at my job, we have at one point had to take the strengths finders test, which I don't necessarily put a whole lot of stock in that personality test, but it does, like, one of my top strengths is learner. If you've ever taken that, you'll be probably familiar with that one. Learner and also achiever. And so I think those two things combined really mean that I enjoy learning about something, and then I enjoy like practicing until I master it. So knitting has really allowed me the opportunity to do that. That was a really long-winded introduction, sort of, sorry, to my knitting origin story, but there you are. I live in the Southern Plains with my husband and 2 teenage boys, and we also have 1 dog and 3 cats. The cats, one of whom loves my knitting, loves my yarn. I got to experience some of his handiwork yesterday when my yarn had been chewed through in several places. So anyway, that's pretty annoying. But and one of the cats, probably my yarn eater, is scratching outside the door right now, asking to come in here. So hopefully he will not be too annoying. Okay, so yeah, where I live means that we don't have nearly as many cold months as folks who live in the northern United States, but we do get a true winter here. It's just not very long, just a couple of months, and our fall is extremely, I would say, pretty much non-existent. We usually go from summer, very long summer, to quite chilly often. Sorry, got a frog in my throat this morning. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Oh, so what I was saying about the weather, yeah. So we do have some true winter weather. So I do get to enjoy, you know, even worsted and bulky weight sweaters a little bit, but then I also need to do some warm weather knitting because that is a lot of what we experience here. Like that's just the climate we have. So if I want to wear my knits in the summer, I have had to get used to working with plant fiber. So I am wearing my movement tee by Lily Kate France today, and it is made from Drops Bell. So it is cotton, linen, viscose, and it works quite well for warmer weather, which we are currently experiencing. All right, so in this episode, I have for you 2 finished objects, one of which I can't show you all of, but it is finished, and it's what I've been working on since I last recorded. So I'm going to show a little bit of it, and you can see the finished object in a month or so. But I can show you this one, which is my 3 Seasons cardigan by Wool & Pine Designs. It's a beautiful cable and lace pattern. So there's the cabling, and there's a couple of different kinds of cables. There's this one, which is really like, not sure this is so much a cable. It's like one strand pulled over to other strands, but then this one's obviously definitely a very beautiful cable, and then lace, and then it is seamed on the sides. The back has the same cable pattern, the same little, whatever this is called, twist, and then it also has this, which is like a twisted pearl pattern, and the texture of it is much stiffer. It kind of looks like thatching or something, and then it also has the lace that extends to the side, and here's what it looks like on the side. Sorry, where it's seamed down. Yeah, so let me pull this back over. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll go through construction and stuff. So this design is by Wool & Pine. It calls for a worsted weight yarn they used, I think, Concept by Katya, which is like a 50-50 cotton wool. I used Knit Picks Comfy Color Mist, which is, it's on the Comfy base, which still exists. The Color Mist does not exist anymore. It has been discontinued, but the base yarn does exist, and Comfy is a 75% cotton, Pima cotton, and 25% acrylic. Let's see, the pattern is in sizes 40 inches to 75 inches. For a full bust, I made a 46.5 inch, which was the third size. Yeah, so I used, and I didn't write down how much ease they call for, but I want to say it's like 6 to 10 inches. So the 46.5 puts me in the 6-inch range, and I'm really sorry if you can hear that. My cat is just scratching on the door. I'm gonna stop this and go let him in so he'll stop. Okay, where was I? He's now sitting in front of me staring out the door, the glass door to the outdoors. Okay, let's see. So this yarn I bought years and years ago in Knit Picks big sale in November, and I got it for a really good deal. It was part of their 135 day, and I got the 100-gram balls for $3 a piece. So I paid $15 for the yarn that is used in this this pattern, and yeah, so I got a super great deal on it. However, you can see a problem that I ended up having with this yarn, which was I did not, because this was a commercially produced and not like hand-dyed yarn, it didn't even occur to me that I needed to alternate my skeins. And so I had knitted all of this back, and then I was about to hear when I sort of like stepped back and looked at my knitting and realized that the color was like totally different, and that you could see this really strong line of demarcation there, right through to the new ball. So I knit to about right there. I actually like have a podcast episode from last summer where I talked about this. I'll put a link to that up there. But I was like, what do I do? I was so frustrated, so annoyed, both with the yarn and because I just didn't feel like that is something that I should have had been thinking about with commercially produced yarn. So I was mad at the yarn, but I was also mad at myself, like that I hadn't thought of that, and also that I hadn't noticed it until I was quite a bit further down. And yeah, I was so mad. I talked about like, should I over dye it? Should I keep going? Should I just unravel it? And I didn't make a decision and just sort of threw it in the naughty corner and have forgotten about it, or not forgotten about it, but just said, I don't care. I'm not dealing with that. So yeah, the other day, I talked about this in my last video, but I made a little reel for Instagram about what was in that project bag. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to pull it out and finish it. And so, I finished the back panel. So how this one works is you start up here with the shoulders, you cast on provisionally, and you knit down, or knit a, join, and then you knit your back panel down to the underarm section. Actually, you don't just knit to the underarm section. There's a little bit of increasing to create a gusset, and then you just knit all the way down. You do your ribbing on here, like it's all knit as one piece because you seam it. So the back is knit all the way down first, and then you go back to your provisional, I don't know why I'm showing you this because there's probably nothing really to see up here, but there's a provisional cast on here. You put those stitches back on your needle and then knit down, and knit all the way to the bottom one side, and then do the same for the other side, knit all the way down, do your ribbing and everything down here. And let's see, the next step, they have you pick up and apply your your button band. Put your button bands on, and I knit my button bands a little bit wider than what they called for. Partly, I mean, I was thinking I would do it wider because I was not, like, this was looking small as I was knitting it. I was going, is this gonna be big enough? And so I was like, maybe I'll just do my button bands a little bit wider and get a little bit extra length in there. But then I think I actually accidentally missed the row where I was supposed to do my buttonholes. And so the whole thing got made bigger by 2, I think, rows than it was intended. So I was intending to do bigger button bands, and it worked out that way on accident anyway, without me even having to try. I did do a little change in that I followed Patty Lyon's instructions in her Knitter's Bag of Tricks book to try to address that issue that often happens with button bands like this, where you're applying them and they're ribbed, which is that stockinette rolls. And so you end up with the piece of your button band like drawing up and being higher than the rest of your hem. And what she says to do is she says that that's caused by stockinette doing what stockinette wants to do, which is roll. And so to avoid that, just add an extra knit stitch. So if it calls for, if you're doing 2x2, a 2x2 rib on your button band, where you do 2 purl, 2 knit, and you end with 2 knit, instead of ending with 2 knit, end with 3 knit. And so I did that on both sides, and I think it did help a little bit. I am still stockinette, so I am still getting some curl there. Cover up my face, see if it'll show. But yeah, it's still drawing up a little. It's not a total fix, but I did try, and I am happier, I think, than I would have been. Yeah, so you knit the button band, and then you come and you pick up for the sleeves. And here's where I did make some changes, and this was based on my experience knitting the 3 Seasons pullover. So the pullover version of this cardigan I tested for Wool and Pine last fall, and my 3 Seasons pullover, the arms came out, the sleeves came out quite tight. And I was not the only person who had this issue. And so I was like, you know what? Since that was based on this pattern, I'm going to just go up to the next size for my sleeves. So for this size, they say as you're seaming up your sides to leave an 8-inch armhole. I decided, because I have a larger bust, so I often need a deeper armhole than what patterns allow, and I didn't really account for that as I was knitting. I left myself a 9 3/8 inch armhole to work with, and then I picked up stitches according to the next size up for mine. So I picked up according to the 4th size, and knit my arms, and I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, and I did not decrease as rapidly as what they suggested. So I held off doing my first decrease, and then I went at a little bit slower decrease rate. I mean, ultimately I decreased out everything, and got down to what the pattern calls for, but it was just a slower rate because, my upper arms are, I don't think they're super big for my size, but, I've got muscles, I'm strong. And, I didn't want sausage casings on my upper arm. So I just decreased more slowly. And I'm pretty happy, like I said, pretty happy with how they turned out. Sorry, I'm looking over because my cat has jumped up on my dresser and is knocking things off. Okay, so yeah, pretty happy with them. They are none too loose though. Yeah, none too loose. So I definitely think that was a good call for me to go up. I also went up in needle size, which is something that Wool & Pine recommends doing, going up for using a larger needle as you are working on sleeves, because I guess we knitters have a tendency to knit sleeves more tightly because of the smaller circumference. Yeah, I thought maybe that only applied to people who use smaller circumference needles for sleeves, but I have found that it is true for me as well, and I use magic loop. So like the size of my needles, you know, the loop that I'm using doesn't change at all, but apparently I do tighten up for whatever reason on my sleeves. I am going to go check on the cat. Okay, I'm back. The cat has been corralled. Actually, he's still in here. Hopefully he's finished bothering things though. Where was I? Talked about the pattern, talked about the sleeve. On the whole though, I really recommend the pattern. Like I don't think the sleeves being tight is an issue. I would just say if you have larger arms, definitely consider doing what I did, which is to you know, to go up a size as you are working on the sleeve, but that is really easy to do. Oh, I would also say that this is cropped. It's quite cropped. I mean, they tell you it's cropped, but it's super cropped. And I'll have put pictures up here. I'm wearing it with a dress, so you can't really tell, but like I have not tried this with pants, but I don't think that I would be able to wear this with most pants. Certainly not without a shirt on under it, because it's just quite cropped on me. There's you know, no attempt to do any kind of bust shaping in here, and so it does right up in the front on me, and so it makes it even more cropped on me than it is on there. Much thinner, less endowed fit model for this. So yeah, just be aware of that you might want to increase the length of the body if you're not wanting a very cropped sweater and you are more busty. But on the whole, great pattern. I really enjoyed all the cable. I enjoyed the lace. The only part that I did not really enjoy, which I didn't like this on the pullover either, is this little like weave section, which you make with by twisting stitches on the purl side. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy that. I found it really hard on my hands. But thankfully that was only on the back, so you don't have to worry about that on the front. It's also a much denser, harder texture than everything else. And so like those two sections are quite a bit stiffer than the rest of the fabric. For the yarn, I really enjoyed working with the yarn. It did not hurt my hands. Maybe that acrylic in there really helped soften it. And the Pima cotton is very soft. So I definitely recommend the yarn as well. And so I posted pictures on like my Facebook, you know, to my non-knitter friends, and was like, what do you think? Like, should I over dye this? Because that's the big question, is now that it's done, should I over dye it? And they were all like, I would never have noticed that line that you were talking about if you had not pointed it out to me. And my husband was definitely of the same mind as well. He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about at first. And then he finally could see it. I mean, I don't know how you can't see it. It's very clear to me, but there are certain lights where it doesn't look quite as bad. Like to me, it's showing up very strongly on the camera. And yeah, there are just certain lights and certain angles where you can really see it. But as I was working on it, I was also like, you know what? Now that I'm working on the front and not staring at the back all the time, it's not really bothering me. It's going to be on my back. I'm not going to see it. So do I care? So at this moment, I am leaning towards just leaving it alone and not over dyeing it. And I think it looks really cute with that blue dress that I'm wearing in my pictures. Yeah, so that's, and it wouldn't if I over dyed it, because I would over dye it like a dark blue color. So yeah, I guess let me know what you think. If if you have an opinion one way or the other on that. Like I said, at this point, I'm leaning towards laziness and leaving it as is. So I'm really glad to have that off the needles. I started it August 1st, 2024 and finished it August 4th, 2025. So yeah, it looks like it took me over a year, but really I knitted from the bottom quarter of the back panel and all the rest of it in 4 days. I just spent a few days knitting on the top of the back panel a year ago. So, okay. The other finished object is the Folk Spells socks. So this is a pattern by Briana Arlene. She posted a testnet call to her email subscribers, and then she also posted it on Instagram in her stories. And actually, maybe it was just on her Instagram as well, for this really cute Halloween spooky season set of socks. She is doing a sweater with the same motifs, but I thought the socks were much more practical for my climate. So I'll show you the tops of my socks. So we can show partial in progress photos. Well, she said on Instagram, she said don't show finished versions on Instagram. So I don't know if she's just wanting us to wait so that we, you know, when the pattern's actually available, I'll post, because she said it's okay to post the full project on Ravelry, but I'll just show you this part. And she has shown this on her Instagram as well, so I'm not giving anything away. So cute. For this project, I'm using Knit Picks Stroll. They're one of their sock yarn bases that I love. This is actually a discontinued base, the black. It's Stroll Glimmer. So it has like, you know, Glimmer, the stellina never shows up on camera. You know, you just lose that dimension when you're looking at it on camera, but in person there is a strand of stellina plied in here, so the black is sparkly. So black sparkle, and then I have, this is Sour Apple, one of the Stroll Brights, which I think the Brights are discontinued, but they've just rolled them into their regular Stroll. This is Pucker, this bright pink. And then this one is a Cascade Heritage. Because Knit Picks just is missing a really good orange, Halloween orange, in my opinion. I've kind of had to go to Cascade for that. I think this one is Carrot. And it's just cute little owls and skulls and then bats up here. And then there is another colorwork strip further down. So these will come out in mid-September, so they will be, the pattern will be available in time for you to knit yourself a pair for Halloween if you're wanting to, and I'll show the full versions, assuming I podcast sometime in September, I will show the full versions then after they release, and they will definitely be on my Instagram, or if you're interested now and have a Ravelry, you can go check those out on Rav. So those were really fun. They only took, I don't know, like 3 or 4 days. I am a quick sock knitter, and colorwork socks go especially fast for me, because I love doing colorwork and seeing that pattern appear. It was also a very easy colorwork pattern since it's pretty geometric. Pretty easy to memorize. There's only a few rounds in the whole thing where you need to catch floats. So I think they would be a good first or early colorwork pattern. I mean, I don't necessarily recommend that you do socks as your first colorwork project just because the small needle, small circumference can be a little trickier, but like if you've got any colorwork experience at all, this would be a great one to go for. And I made the largest size in that. I'll talk more about that when the pattern's actually released, but those were really fun. And I'm considering doing another pair in more autumnal colors. This is definitely, Briana does, or Briana, sorry, I'm not sure which way she pronounces it. She has an Instagram chat for her groups, testing groups, which I really appreciate now that I've had the experience of a completely groupless, no way to communicate with anyone testing situation. So I really enjoyed that aspect of her test, and seeing other people's colors is actually what inspired me to go with the brights. Yeah, because they were very cute. Okay, so works in progress. I have my Darius cardigan. Let's see, where do I have that? I've got several bags sitting down here. Okay, so Darius is coming along. He's got one arm, or sleeve, I guess, completely done. It's got the cable down it, and I have got this much done on my second sleeve. And so this is the full thing. You know, I'll talk about the pattern and everything once it's actually completed. This is a pattern I'm testing for Jennifer Owens. It is a drop shoulder cardigan, and I love that it is like the finishing is done as you go. So it has already got an integrated button band built in that we did as we went. And so once I finish this sleeve, it is going to be done, except for putting on the buttons. So that is very exciting, and hopefully it will be done pretty soon. If I can just get the motivation to keep going on it. Now that I've finished my socks, hopefully I will. Really at this point, like, because of the pattern, you know, I'm doing the same pattern that I did on the body and the first sleeve. So I really know it. It's just a matter of counting between cable crosses and keeping up with where I'm doing my decreases. And yeah, so it's not mindless because of that, because I am, you know, it is patterned, and it does have cables. So it means that I have to, you know, I have to be paying attention, and I do have to have fairly frequent access to my cable needle, because I just can't do the cabling, this cable, without a cable needle. So that was going along. Hopefully though, I should have it finished in the next week. I really want to get it done before my school gets going, so I can have it. I think that will be all of my test knits then taken care of. I won't have any more obligations. Okay, and my EnolaV. I said in my last podcast that my goal was to get the back finished and the shoulder started, and I did manage to get that done. Sorry, everything is tangled up here. Okay, so the back is now done down to the bottom of the armholes and put on tubing, and I have picked up for my left shoulder and started down on it. And so yeah, you pick up and you start doing increases out here for the V-neck. That's what that will be. And yeah, so I just need to work on this. I have not been working on this. I finished the back, and I did this front. Last week we watched the 50th anniversary Jaws documentary, which was pretty interesting. We like Jaws, so enjoyed watching that documentary. I did not have any idea that making that film gave Steven Spielberg PTSD that he dealt with for many years after it. So that was interesting. But yeah, So that one's going along. I just need to make time to do it. So I had talked about a couple of episodes ago that I wasn't sure if I was going to keep going on this one because the yarn, like it was just looking so scraggly and transparent. And I was like, oh, maybe this is just way too light for me to be doing this. But I blocked it and I felt cautiously optimistic after blocking it. And you might be able to see where I blocked it to. So like right about here is where the blocking happened. And that yarn that has been blocked looks a lot better than the part that hasn't. So, and a commenter said that the coast actually blooms open really nicely. So it was good to hear that from somebody who has more experience with that yarn, and also to know that it wasn't just my imagination, that it looked like it was gonna work after I blocked it. So I just need to work on that. I really would like to get that one this week. Both of the shoulders knit down so that they're joined, so that the whole thing is joined in the round. That would be a great goal if I can get that done by next week, so that then I have some project that is just stockinette in the round. So that one, I need to work on that. Oh, I didn't say the EnolaV is a pattern by JST Knits, Jennifer Shields Tolan. The Umbria summer top I actually didn't bring in to show you. I have knit a little bit on that one. I worked on it in church last week, and as I was knitting on it, I was like, that's funny that the hem band is starting with a purl stitch on the right side, because I thought it ended with a knit stitch, or I thought it started and ended with a knit stitch, if you were looking at it from the right side. And then I got to the end of the other row, and I was like, this button band on this side does end with a knit stitch on both sides. And so then I went back and looked at the other one and realized that at some point I had just gotten those all backwards, and so, you know, instead of knitting my first and last stitch as knit stitches, I knit them as purl stitches, and changed all of the rest of them as well. And so that error had been made like 15 rows down, and so that was really frustrating. So I dropped down and corrected those for all of the button band except for the edge stitch, because I couldn't figure out how to do that one. It's just the edge is a knit stitch, and I just don't know how to fix an edge stitch, I guess. I had this issue on my lavender top tank on the double knitting. I made an error on the edge of my double knitting, and I could not figure out how to correct it. So I'm like, obviously the button band on the Umbria top is just ribbed. It's not double knit, but I'm having the same issue in that I don't know how to fix an error on that edge stitch. Cause like there's just nothing, like it doesn't look like, you know, a stitch that's in the middle where you have a bar to pick up between two stitches. And so I'm just stumped. If anybody has a tutorial you can point me to, please, I would love to get some help on that. Or if you just know how to fix it. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. So leave me feedback in the comments if you know how to fix that. So yeah, not much work there, just a few rows, which really, I talked about before, I'm not loving that knit. I really want the finished product, but I'm not enjoying the process. So I'm just trying to work on, you know, a few rows a week on it and get that done. And if I keep doing that, eventually I will get finished. My Loungey raglan, which I'm making in Knit Picks Bubbly Boucle, based on the Petite Knits zipper sweater light pattern, which I'm not doing any of the zipper part of the sweater. I'm just using her raglan numbers. I'm not going to bother to show you because there's not really any significant change there. I have knit a few rounds on it, but you know, there's nothing to see. But I do have a new cast on, which is Nanna the duck. cover up my face because she is so cute. Hopefully she's showing up. I've got her wings and her head and the little mouth, and I don't know, good ways down the body. I don't think there's that much more body to go. And then I'll have tail feathers to put on and 2 legs and feet. And then I will get to stuff her. So she is from this Mouche and Friends book by Cynthia Valier. Sorry, I do not speak French at all. So I got this for my birthday / Mother's Day in May, and I showed it before and was a little bit meh. You know, that was sort of my impression when I just flipped through it, because some of the animals, like their heads are just a little bit small, I guess, for my taste. And so I was like, I don't know how much I'm gonna like this. But there were some that were cute, so I was like, I'll definitely use some of them. But now, and this is why you should never like review a book before you've actually read it, used it. Now that I'm working on this pattern, I'm like, this book is so good. It is really, really good. So it starts with instructions about knitting all of the animals, like how to do the knitting. So, you know, she has advice on picking a yarn, how to think about your gauge, stuffing, all the tools that you're gonna need, and then she has these lessons laid out. So lesson number 1, lesson 2, and those go all the way up to, let's see, there's a lot of the lessons in here. Lesson 19. So there are 19 different lessons in here, and those are just, she's broken it up into creating openings, that's one of them, casting on for ribbing, binding off, slipping stitches to create color work. Those are all in knitting the outfits. There's a lesson on how to finish the animal, so soaking. So she recommends actually blocking your animal. She's like, you can skip this step, but like it's gonna be better if you actually take the time, which I usually don't for stuffies. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna follow her directions and actually block and stuffing and closing. She has the best little tutorial that I've seen talking about how to put on the features, the embroidery. That's the part that I hate working on in stuffies, is doing the embroidery, because I'm not an embroiderer, and so I feel like I'm not very good at it. And I still don't think this is great, but I think it's going to be really cute when she's done. She just gives you more information about, like, here's what a back stitch is. Here is, like, she suggests using pearl cotton number 8, I think. And so I ordered some of that, and she's like, this will give you a better result than if you just use like cross stitching strands. Or she's like, definitely, you know, your last choice should be black yarn, which is usually what I do, like black fingering weight yarn. And I do think that it looks better. Anyway, so I'm really impressed. I have made a lot of stuffies, and I do think her directions are the best that I have seen. Now, it is extremely fiddly still. I think there's just no way around that if you are making a detailed animal. There are just going to be a lot of little details, but like these wings were made, sorry, I have all these strands that I have not cut off yet. These were all made in the round. Like, I did not have to pick up any stitches in there. Those were just made by putting stitches on hold and coming back and putting them on my needles. No seaming whatsoever at this point. I mean, and that's the big selling point of all of the animals in this book, is that they are made in the round. And that's why somebody had suggested it to me after I made my raccoon. I'll put a picture of him up here. But the book that he came from, everything is knit flat. And I don't really think that there's a lot of reason for a lot of it to be knit flat. That just seems to be the preference of the designer. And my preference is definitely for in the round if possible. So I'm super happy with how she's looking. She should be finished definitely by the next time I film. And I'm super impressed with this book. So I take back my meh on flipping through this in May, and now I am a big advocate for this. I think that this is great. She's done such a nice job in the book. So put that aside. And then I also wanted to, since I kind of felt like pulling this out and posting about it gave me the oomph to go ahead and finish it, I thought I would pull out my other long lingering WIP. I think this is the only other one I have that's not a blanket, which I don't feel the same about blankets because they're kind of intended to be lingering WIPs. This is my only other one that is a WIP sitting out there that is so close to being finished but is not, and that is my Soxoltl socks by I forgot to write down her name. Emma B. It starts with B, her last name. She's the one, you've definitely seen her patterns before because they get stolen by all of those scammy shops and stuff. But she has the crocodile, the crikey socks. She has these axolotl socks. She has some shark socks. She's got all sorts of animal socks, just super fun animal socks. And these are going to be the Soxoltl socks. And so you can see, I got both socks completely done. I started these in May 2022. And in May 2022, I got this much done, as much as I am showing you. So this whole sock body is done, and then I even have the appendages on for one of them. And what happened is I ran out of yarn, so I had to order more yarn. This is knit in Knit Picks Hawthorne. This is the Daphne colorway, so I think this is the exact yarn that the designer used. Yeah, and I think it's a good axolotl cover. But yeah, ran out of yarn, so I finally got that ordered. At some point, I even wound it up because I was like, maybe if I get it wound up, I'll actually get this done. So the socks and the wound up yarn have been sitting there for literal years at this point. And I just need to find the pattern and finish. Like 4 appendages, I'm not sure. So I know they have, are they gills? Is that what they're called? Like there's gonna be some axolotl-y looking stuff up here because I have some, like there's some pearl bumps that have been made that are, I don't know if you can see that are indicators of where things are gonna go. So yeah, there's still some appendages to put on, and then I think there's some embroidering that has to happen. I'll put up a picture up in the corner that will show what they're supposed to look like when they're finished. But yeah, I just like need to get these done. I also need to, one of my issues is that she uses eyelash yarn, and I haven't come across any eyelash yarn since this isn't the 2010s. Like it's not everywhere. And I have been looking like in the thrift store ever since I worked on these, to see if I ever saw any in like a pink, color. But I did come across when I was cleaning out a closet recently, a scarf that looks like it's made with that eyelash stuff. And I am not 100% sure if that was one of my learning to knit projects before knitting took for me, or if I bought that somewhere. I don't know where that scarf came from. I don't remember now, but I guess my hoarding has come in handy because I think that it's eyelash yarn, and so I think I can pull that apart and use some of that yarn to make my little gills or whatever they're called. So basically I'm showing you this thing so that hopefully I will have now the accountability to go ahead and get this done. And I'm not sure that I put this on correctly, because this does not, like, the back is hanging really nicely, the back legs, but the front leg, like, I wonder if I attach that backwards. These are pretty fiddly to make, as I recall. Like I can see there's some short rows happening here to make the little elbows or ankles like go in the right directions, and it looks like something's wrong with this one, so I may have to take that one off and either redo it, or maybe it's on there backwards. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe I made two of the same ones and I should have made an opposite. Anyway, this is kind of like making a stuffy, only also making a sock at the same time. Like the annoying bits of both. So, but that will be really good to get that finished. So I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it done. Okay, and my plans are to focus, aside from getting the Soxoltl done, to focus on my EnolaV. This is after my Darius is finished, because that is my first order of business since it's a test knit and I want to get it done. So I'm going to do Darius, then I'm going to work on EnolaV so I can get that one in the round, and it could be my mindless stockinette pattern. And after that, I will let myself cast on the Dune Drifter or the Winnie top that I talked about before, and I have swatched for, so I know what I need to do on those. I'm ready to go. As soon as I finish Darius, I will let myself cast one of those on. And speaking of Winnie top, which is by Lily Kate France, I had said before that I was really interested in her checker plate tee. I actually applied to test that one and was not chosen. And she just released it the week that I'm recording this, and it's so beautiful, you know. And so I was like, oh, should I buy it? Should I wait? Because I'd really like to make it. But then as I was looking both at her photos and photos of her testers, the front seemed to be riding really high, and it looked lower even in the back than in the front in some of those pictures, and I do not like a high neck. And so I was like, well, are there not short rows? And I looked and I don't see short rows mentioned anywhere on like the pattern description. So I'm just wondering, like, are there short rows? Did any of you test that? Does anybody know? Because that will, I think, quell my interest in the pattern if there are no short rows, because I really don't like a neckline that rides up. That really, I don't like a high, I don't even really like a crew neckline. Like this one's a little higher than what I would really like. So I definitely don't want one that's unintentionally riding up on me. But yeah. So if you know anything about that, I would love to know one way or the other. Also, so if you're still here, thank you for watching. But I, in my last video, had posted that I was doing a pattern giveaway, which I still am. But I realized, because I recorded that like a week ago from today, like I'm recording these like a week before they go live. So I needed to record again before I went back to work, and I don't know when I will get to record again. So at the time that I'm recording this, the video with the pattern giveaway has not even gone live yet. So it will really be my next video, the second one from when I did the pattern giveaway video, that I will announce a winner. So there's still time. If that was all to say, there is still time. If you would like to enter that pattern giveaway, I'll put a link to my previous video up there. You can go over and leave an emoji comment to enter that and be in the hopper. Yeah, I just didn't really think through that when I was planning the giveaway video. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with me as I chased my cat around. I really appreciate it. I love to get comments. So if you have any advice for me on how to fix that edge knit stitch, if you're in the know about the checker plate tee, I would love to know that. But even if you don't have the answer to either of those things, I would love to hear from you. Do you ever have a project almost completely done and then leave it because you just can't work up the energy, the motivation to take care of the final few steps. Am I the only one who has had a pair of socks almost completed for 3 years? Let me know. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.